Yeah, good morning, students. Welcome to the new session of chemistry paper discussion. This is going to be the shift 2. Okay. So, when it comes to the shift 2, the first question. Look at the first question here. If Thomson model is considered to be true, then Rutherford's model. It's a quite uh, excellent question. This is simple concept but very effective. So according to the Thomson's model, electrons are to be embedded in the atom in a sea of positively charged. Therefore, total atom is going to be having the positive charge. In that, little bit negatively charged particles are present. Now, alpha particle, as we all know that this is He plus 2. This is having the positive charge. Alpha particles are having the positive charge when it strikes any side of the atom, any direction of the atom, again they will come back, because positively charged particles never allow us to pass the atom according to Thomson's atomic model. If that is true, so Rutherford's atomic model would have not been possible absolutely. But when it comes to according to Rutherford's atomic model, but one thing, most of the alpha particle are to be passed through the atom. Only very few were bounced back. 1 out of 20,000 were bounced back. That's why we came to know that the total atom is not positively charged, right? So, but if it is true, if Thomson's atomic model is true, therefore, none of the alpha particle would be passed through the atom. Identify the correct increasing order of ionization enthalpy of magnesium, aluminium, phosphorus, sulfur. 3s2, 3s2, 3p1, 3s2, 3p2, 3s2, 3p3, and this is going to be 3s2, 3p4. Right. Now here, magnesium as well as aluminium, among these two, magnesium will be having the more ionization enthalpy. That is because of what? What is the reason behind it? That is because of S is having the more penetration power and when compared with the p orbital. Therefore, magnesium is having more first ionization enthalpy when compared with the aluminum. Among phosphorus as well as the sulfur, among these two, who is having more? Due to the half-filled configuration, phosphorus is having more when compared with the sulfur. Therefore, the order could be phosphorus is greater than sulfur is greater than magnesium is greater than aluminum. As simple as that. How many times we have seen this question? How many times? Even this is third period. Even in the second period also they would have give sodium as well as boron, right? So many times they have asked these kind of questions. That is absolutely impeccable, isn't it? Next, here lithium is going to be used in electrochemical cells. Sodium, that could be potassium, could be used for the carbon dioxide, and sodium is used as a coolant. Cesium, which is used in the photoelectric cells, right? It's a theory, it is absolutely there in the uses of S block elements, right? Metal uses. How many number of electrons are there in the bonding molecular orbital of O2 2 minus? O2 2 minus. O2 2 minus is having how many electrons? 18 electrons. So this is going to be sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, sigma 2p z2, pi 2p x2 is equals to pi 2p y2, pi star 2p x2 is equals to pi star 2p y2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, that is okay. Now we have to see how many bonding. So how many bonding are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 twos are 10, 10 electrons. Next, how many total Cl double bond O's which are present here? HClO4. When it comes to HClO4, Cl double bond O, OH, valency is equals to 7 here. Cl double bond O, OH, double bond O, lone pair, double bond O, HClO3 and HClO2, Cl double bond O, OH, two lone pairs. So now here these are going to be, so 2, here we have 3, here we have 2 and here we have 1. Obviously these are all going to be 3 plus 2 plus 1, that is equals to 6 Cl double bonds. But here these are p pi d pi bonds or p pi bonds. In chlorine, whatever the Cl double bond is there, all of them are going to be p pi d pi bonds. Those are all p pi d pi bonds. Right? Next. Next, identify the incorrect statement from the following. Crystalline solids are anisotropic, not isotropic. These are anisotropic. Crystalline solids are anisotropic. Amorphous solids are also called pseudo-solids, right? Because these are formed because of the annealing, which means adiabatic cooling. Next, amorphous solids do not have definite enthalpy of fusion, right? Whereas crystalline solids are having the definite enthalpy of fusion. Crystalline solids are having the long range order, not lone. This is long range order. Crystalline solids are having the long range order, whereas amorphous solids are having the short range order. Crystalline solids, they are having the sharp edges when we cut with the knife. So what is the wrong statement? Crystalline or having the isotropic is wrong, anisotropic is correct. 10 ml of 0.05 molar KMnO4 is titrated against 10 ml of oxalic acid. Find the strength of the oxalic acid in grams per liter. So what we have to do here, that is equals to number of equivalents of MnO4 minus is equals to number of equivalents of oxalic acid, right? So in this case, number of equivalents of MnO4 minus, first of all, what is the reaction here? MnO4 minus plus C2O4 minus 2 gives rise to Mn plus 2 plus 2 CO2 to CO2. Now how many number of electron transferred here? 2 electrons. Here how many number of electrons are transferred? 5 electrons gets transferred. X factor is equals to 5 over there. So 10 into 0.05 into 2 is equals to 10 into normality. So here 10 gets cancelled. Normality n is equals to 0.1. But X factor is equals to 2. Therefore molarity is equals to 0.05. Sorry, Amma. Here the X factor is equals to 5. Sorry, I did a mistake. 10 into 0.05 into X factor 5, that is equals to 10 into here molarity into X factor is equals to 2. Now here this 10 and this 10 gets cancelled. Now this is equals to molarity is equal to 0.25 divided by 2, that is equal to 0.125 molar. 0.125 molar. What we have to calculate? Strength we have to calculate. What is the strength actually? Molarity M is equals to weight divided by gram molecular weight into 1000 divided by volume in ml. So the strength is equals to molarity M is equals to weight divided by volume into 1000 divided by gram molecular weight. Now this is equals, this is the strength. This is what we can call it as strength. Strength is equals to molarity into gram molecular weight. So now molarity 0.125, 0.125 into, it's a gram molecular weight, oxalic acid gram molecular weight is equals to, here what they are substituting, H2C2O4, that is 98. Therefore you will get your answer. Okay. Here we have one more thing you need to remember. Usually for the titration we can always use whatever we are using, that is always to be used like H2C2O4 along with 2H2O. So if that is used, you will get 120 grams, but might be in the exam they would have given very clear data, rather than here this is memory based. Remember, if that is given, you should multiply with the 120 rather than with 98. Remember that. So we are giving our solutions according to the given data, right? Next, 1 mole of A takes 100 minutes to give 0.2 moles of B in the reaction. A gives rise to 2B according to first order. It's okay. So 1, 0, 1 minus x, so 2x. So here 2x is equals to 0.2, x is equals to 0.1. Right? First order reaction. The half-life of the reaction is, first of all we have to calculate K. K is equals to 2.303 divided by 100 into log 1 divided by 1 minus 0.1. So K is equals to 2.303 divided by 100 into log 10 divided by 9. Log 10 divided by 9. Now you need to calculate T half. T half is equals to 0.693 divided by K. That is 2.303 divided by 100 log 10 divided by 9. This is the half-life. It could be little, anyway ln2, ln10 they have given. Just calculated by using these ones. Right? Next. The total number of neutrons and electrons present in radioactive isotope of hydrogen, 1H3. So in 1H3 actually 1 proton along with 2 neutrons are present, as well as 1 electron anyway present. 1 electron plus 2 neutrons, that is equals to 3. It's a peanut, it's a free hit actually. Anyone can hit anywhere you want to hit. Next, for the reaction MO gives rise to, MO solid gives rise to M solid and half O2 Kp. Kp is equals to partial pressure of O2 power 1 by 2, that is equals to 4. Partial pressure of O2 is equals to 16. This is also same kind, free hit. SO2 is highly adsorbed on charcoal than H2. This is absolutely brilliant actually. Adsorption of sulfur dioxide is greater than H2 because of its critical temperature is more. Critical temperature is equals to 88 divided by 27 Br. So Tc is directly proportional to A, which is inversely proportional to B. For hydrogen, B is more, whereas for sulfur dioxide, A is more. When A is more, obviously what happened here, adsorption will be more, critical temperature will be, if critical temperature is more, A will be more. If A is more, obviously adsorption will be more. So no doubt about it, A is true, R is true, R is the correct explanation of A. Absolutely no doubt. Good question. An electrolyte AB is 50% dimerized and rest is ionized in solvent. Then Van't Hoff factor I for this one. For example, AB, how much? Let us consider 1 mole. 1 mole of AB is there. In that 50%, 50%. This is dimerized. This is going to be ionized. If it is ionized, converted to A plus B minus. So 0.5 dimerized. 0.5 dimerized means 0.5 by 2, that is equal to 0.25. 0.5 ionized becomes 1. Therefore 1 plus 0.25, that is equals to 1.25. 1.25. Next, MnCN taken 6 times 3 minus, FeCN taken 6 times 3 minus, COCN taken 3 minus, have D2sp3, MnCl6 taken 6 times 3 minus, FeCl6 are paramagnetic with 3 and 5 unpaired electrons respectively. First of all, Mn plus 3, let us talk about Mn plus 3. Mn plus 3, this is going to be 3D 4s0 4p0, because 4s to 3d 5, so anyway it lost 3 electrons. Now this is going to be 1 2 3 4 4s0 as well as 4p0. Now cyanide is going to be a strong ligand, here pairing up takes place, therefore this is going to be D2sp3 hybridization. This is having D2sp3 hybridization, no doubt about it. D2sp3 hybridization. Iron, Fe plus 3 we have here, Fe plus 3, 4s2 3d6. Now this is going to be 3d5 configuration, 3d5 4s0 4p0, 3d5 in the presence of the strong ligands. In the presence of strong ligands, these get paired up. So again, this is also going to have the D2sp3 hybridization. Definitely this is also having D2sp3 hybridization, no doubt about it. Next, cobalt. Cobalt actually it is having the 4s2 3d7, but 3 electrons lost to d6 in the presence of the strong ligand. Now CO plus 3, this becomes 3d6 4s0 4p0. Now electrons gets paired up. So now here also this is true. Definitely D2sp3 hybridization. D2sp3 hybridization, correct. This is also true. Next, MnCl6 minus 3, FeCl6 minus 3 are paramagnetic with 3 and 5 unpaired electrons. So that is what we have to check. Mn plus 3 actually 3d4, chloride is a weak ligand, therefore 4 unpaired electrons can be present here, 4 unpaired electrons can be present, not 3. So S1 is true, S2 is going to be 3 minus na Cl6 plus 3 d4 3d4 con 4s2 3d5 4s2 3d5, same thing here, 4 electrons should be present. Now 4 unpaired electrons should be present here. Here 4 unpaired electrons are present, then only this is true. Anyway, we have to rely on, we cannot rely on this data. If 4 unpaired electrons can be present in MnCl6 minus 3 because of chloride is going to be a weak ligand, then S1 and S2 are true. But we already mentioned that this is just memory based one. Clear? Next. What is the reason to add silica during the metallurgy of copper? Actually, copper CuFeS2. First, whenever we react with oxygen, it is going to give Cu2S along with FeS along with SO2. Then after when you started using, then after when you start adding oxygen, copper will be converted to Cu2O and iron also going to be converted to FeO. But copper oxide, cuprous oxide is unstable, it will be converted to again cuprous sulfide. But total iron is converting into the iron oxide when it is mixed with SiO2 converted to FeSiO3. This is gangue. This is a flux that we are adding. and it is going to be slag formation. So what is adding here to remove impurities in the form of FeSiO3 in the form of the slag. How many cations will get precipitation from H2S passing HCl? H2S passing HCl, this is going to be second group reagent. So how many are there second group cations? Cu plus 2. Yes, absolutely Cu plus 2. That's it. Only one. Nothing. No one are there. Al plus 3, Fe plus 3, these two are going to be third group cations. Ni plus 2, Co plus 2, Zn plus 2, fourth group cations. Ba plus 2 will be the fifth group cation. There is only one second group cation, that is Cu2 plus. Cu2 plus 2, Cd2 plus 2, and as well as Sn2 plus 2, Sn3 plus 2. So those are all going to be As3 plus 2. Those are all going Ba3 plus 2. These are all second group cations. And as well as this one also you can use what was that, Hg plus 2, Pb plus 2, right? But those are not there, only Cu plus 2 is there. In a closed container, initially SO2 and O2 are taken at 750 and 250, and the following reaction takes place. 2SO2 plus O2 gives rise to 2SO3, SO2 750, this is 250, 0, 750 minus 2x, 250 minus x, this is equals to 2x. Then what will be the pressure after the completion of the reaction? Then what could be the pressure after completion of the reaction? What can be the pressure after the completion of the reaction? So initially that we are having 750, 250, 2 moles, 1 mole are reacting and it is giving rise to the 2 moles. At constant temperature, so pressure is directly proportional to the number of moles. Therefore, 2 moles, 1 mole is giving 2 moles. Therefore, here this is going to be 750 will give the another 750. So otherwise you can do like this, 750 minus 2x plus 250 minus x plus 2x. So it gets cancelled. 1000 minus x. Reaction which is completed. Total pressure, reaction which is going to be completed. Therefore, reaction which is completed, which means x is equals to how much? 250. Therefore, total pressure is equal to 1000 minus x. So reaction which is completed, therefore x becomes, what is the value of the x here? Therefore x becomes 250, right? So overall total pressure is equals to 750. Total pressure is equals to 750, right? Next. One mole of complex COCl3 6NH3 on reaction with AgNO3 gives 3 moles of AgCl. 3 moles of AgCl means CO NH3 taken 6 times. The complex should be this. Then only it can react with 3 moles of AgNO3 and it gives 3 moles of AgCl. 3 moles of AgCl. Therefore, what is the secondary valence? This is the peanut. Actually, it is given even in the last exam also. Same kind of question they have given. So here, secondary valence is equals to 6. Next, sodium golden yellow, lithium crimson red, calcium brick red, and barium is going to be apple green. Okay. See, the S block elements, the last shift, they have given uses of the metals, and in this shift, they are giving the questions based on what? Metal ion colors. Remember, theory is such important, NCERT theory. Statement hyperconjugation is a permanent defect, that is correct. Statement in overlap with the adjacent vacant p orbitals. sp2ch. sp2ch is having sp2p overlapping, not that one. Statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is wrong. Of course, they are asking this. CH3 CH2 plus, here sp2 CH, overlapping will be there with vacant orbital. Carbon hydrogen, how vacant orbital will participate? That is going to be sp2 carbon hydrogen s orbital will participate in the overlapping. So 1 is correct, 2 is wrong. Right. So NO2 you have here, and here you are having the Cl, that is good. Therefore, when NO2 group is there, here what I have to do? Chlorination. Then only this is a meta directing group. So first of all, what I have to do is AlCl3Fe I have to use, because when nitrobenzene is there, when I have nitrobenzene, when I use AlCl3 along with Fe, definitely it is going to be meta directing group. NO2 Cl will form. Now what I will do here, NaNO2 HCl will do. When I do NaNO2 HCl, therefore it forms Na2 plus Cl minus. Cl will be there because of the water. It is going to be so the order is going to be C. First, if you use NaNO2, therefore what does it give? Okay, here we have to, we missed one step. What is that? Reduction. FeHCl. FeHCl, obviously here it is going to convert it to group Cl. Then you can use NaNO2 HCl. Yes. So this is reduction, then after it is possible. So initially, whenever you use here NaNO2, it does not react with NO2. FeHCl, which means here they want to convert it to the aniline. If aniline is converted here, it is going to be ortho para directing. It is not possible. Therefore, option C is possible. Galactose and D-glucose, or sucrose will give glucose and fructose. Lactose will give galactose and glucose. Maltose will give 2 moles of glucose. Amylose will give all glucose. Amylopectin is having the branches. So option is going to be the lactose. Next, Gabriel thalamide synthesis. In Gabriel thalamide synthesis, here we will get. So first we will get here C double bond O N. Right. Now what I am going to do here, hydrolysis. Whenever I do hydrolysis here, therefore it will give me NH2. Okay, done. Primary amines only can be prepared because of the SN2 initiation mechanism. Now diol H, you have to remember, when you see in the advanced, so diol H whenever you use around minus 63 degrees Celsius, it is controlled reduction, but whereas at room temperature it is uncontrolled reduction. Since some 3 years the JE is mentioning this same diol H, but they are considering it as low temperature. Okay, just take it as grantedly. When they just give diol H, they are considering it as the controlled. Okay, so here what will be formed? The controlled reduction. Therefore RCH double bond NH followed by hydrolysis. Therefore it is going to give RCHO. So it is going to be aldehyde. Right? So H2SO4, here we have trans product as well as the cis product. Trans is always going to be the major when compared with the cis. Dihydrolanolin 1,1,1 trichloroethene in staggered conformation. So anyway, always a staggered conformation, the dihydrolanolin is going to be 60 degrees. Okay, anywhere. Right, in eclipse that is different. Okay. eclipsed form, that is different, but whereas in the here staggered form is going to be the 60 degrees, right? Yes, this question is not completed, we have seen already, but the question which is not completed, that's why we are not discussing this. So this is the end of the session. So we were discussed 27th first shift as well as the second shift, both the shifts we discussed. Hopefully you got the more information from these two videos. Have a nice day. Thank you. All the best for your JEE Advanced exam.